Welcome to the I Heart My Fit Biz podcast, where we will be covering everything you need for inspiration, motivation, and practical advice in how to create a thriving fitness business. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast after, hopefully for you, a restful summer. Starting episodes back up again from now until Christmas. So lots of things to come and lots of guests to come as well. So today I wanted to talk about this fear and lack mentality that is not only prominent within the fitness industry at the moment, but the world. And I think it really stems from, I think it was there before. I remember having lots of fear and lack mentality, which I'll talk about as we go through the episode. But I think really this stems hugely at the kind of level it is at now with most people. It stems from the pandemic and coming back into the world after the pandemic, and also a lot with the media as well. So maybe you're feeling that maybe in reality and physically you've returned to classes and people haven't returned with you, or you've stayed online but you're struggling to make it work, or you just generally have this fear of maybe prices going up in terms of your outgoings, and this fear of not being able to cover costs or not being able to get your business back up and thriving after the pandemic. And there's a lot in the fitness industry as well of not being paid your worth. I saw a comment the other day about somebody saying they hadn't had a pay rise in 20 years and all of this kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, some of it is legitimate and worthwhile fears, but a lot of the time it really puts us into that mindset that isn't serving us and is actually bringing more of that into our business. So as most of you know, I'm quite, I believe in manifestation. I believe in what we put out. Our thoughts, our energy, more than anything, is coming back to us, and we are a reflection of that. And just from my own experiences, so a few years ago, before my burnout, I just remember all my thoughts being, oh, I'm so exhausted, and things like, oh, I don't want to work evenings anymore, I'm so exhausted. That was my main, not like in I still enjoyed what I was doing, but I was leading up to this burnout and I was doing too much. So they were my predominant thoughts. And lo and behold, I got so exhausted that I burnt out, that I couldn't teach. So therefore, I wasn't teaching any evenings. So the universe brought me, and my thoughts and my energy brought me basically what I wanted, because I had to give everything up for 3 months, and I was well and truly exhausted. So that is just one example from my life that when I look back now, I know that I created that with my mentality. So this is what I'm talking about with this fear and lack mentality. It's your thoughts, but it's also the energy behind those thoughts, because you can have thoughts of lack and fear and still have a thriving fitness business, because the energy isn't there behind it. And so what I mean by that is most of the time that you're seeing evidence of a successful fitness business. So even if you have a few lack mentality thoughts, your predominant evidence is that you've got a really busy, full fitness business. So that's what predominantly keeps showing up. And again, I've had that in the past where there's only really been I've been really lucky where there's one class that I couldn't really feel and it was really quiet. So I've been really lucky with that. But when that happened, again, I couldn't fill it because I was in this lack and fear mentality of like, this class I can just never fill. This is just, the time isn't right, the class isn't right, it's just not working. That was the constant energy behind that particular class. But I've still taught really, really busy classes, and my main thoughts were, oh my gosh, can I keep this up? Are people still going to come? Every time I took holiday or stopped the class for whatever reason, due to annual leave or just half terms, things like that, I would have this fear thought of, are people going to come back? And it got to that point where actually and we know summer holidays and half terms and things like that are always quite low with numbers, but it got to that point where my thoughts were actually bringing that to me, that literally every single half term would be really, really super low. So it's that energy behind what we're thinking. So maybe you've got thoughts like that at the moment, and because of the pandemic, you've come back into your fitness business, or things have changed quite drastically, or things have been really up and down. So maybe online really worked when you were in lockdown, but it's not working anymore. And maybe you've come back to classes and it's taking a while to build up. So it's bringing these thoughts of things are never going to get back to normal. And we're getting that from the media as well, from social media and from the news and from things like that. It's this fear-based thing of it's going to be really hard to get our businesses back after the pandemic. So we're fueled by that lack mentality as well, which fuels our lack mentality. And so the cycle just gets worse and worse and worse. And so we've constantly got this these thoughts, and even speaking to people, I see even, instructors writing posts of our classes are low, really struggling to get classes back up to normal numbers like they were before the pandemic. And so we're constantly talking about it, and we're constantly, again, fueling that. So it's really redirecting our energy as to what we can do, solution-orientated and abundant-orientated thoughts, which can be really challenging if we're not seeing the evidence of it. So it's really getting into that mindset of speaking differently when people ask you about your fitness business. So I'm just going to go over a few things that you can start doing to build up this abundance and this trust mentality rather than fear and lack mentality. And just a few things that you can start to implement. So the first thing is to really start to eliminate all the things that are fueling those thoughts. So stop watching the news, unfollow or limit your interaction with people who are saying those thoughts of things, even if they're not in your industry. If on Facebook, if you're seeing lots of people complain and lots of people saying those sorts of things, it's going to fuel your agreement with them. So start to really limit that access to those kinds of things. It's really, really important that you try and not fuel that fire and not feed those thoughts. And things like watching the news, scrolling social media when you've got lots of people on social media that are saying the same things, it fuels it and it makes it the norm. So we believe it more because there's more evidence of it. So that's the first thing that you can start doing. Then you can start talking differently about your fitness business. So when someone asks you how your fitness business is going, you can say things like, you don't have to lie or try and convince yourself, but you can say things like, things have been a little bit low, but they are slowly coming back to normal. Or you can say things like, I'm choosing to believe that things are coming back. I'm choosing to believe that my business is growing and that people are just going to start to gradually come back and numbers are going to be a little bit higher. Lots of things like this. So not dismissing So not dismissing or lying to yourself, saying, oh yeah, things are really good when they're actually not, but actually either just redirecting the conversation so you're actually not talking about the lack of it, and you're redirecting your mind, and then say to yourself an affirmation, I choose to believe that business is getting better and better and better. Or actually verbalizing that and saying to people, do you know what, it could be better, but I believe that it is going to become better and better over the next few months. So actually not stating that things are really, really bad and I don't know how things are going to get better, but accepting it and choosing to believe something different. So that's the second one. So really pausing and thinking about how you're talking about your fitness business when people ask, or when you're generally just talking about your business. And then the third one is to get the energy behind that and really monitor your thoughts, because you can be really conscious when you're speaking about your fitness business. You can kind of pause and decide what you're going to say. But when your thoughts are on autopilot, it's really hard sometimes to get out of this thought pattern that you might be in. So it's really taking a moment to set some time aside to actually say affirmations and specific thoughts to yourself about how you want things to be. So you've got specific, and even if it's just writing them down and reading them at several points throughout your day, so your thoughts are starting to change because you're consciously feeding your mind new things about your fitness business. But also just being conscious of when you are having those negative thoughts about how you're feeling throughout your day. If you're feeling like deflated and stuck and like you want to give up, notice the thoughts that are making you feel like that. And then pause and ask yourself how you want to feel and how you want to think. And again, it's a good opportunity to have something written down. So again, you can read through those affirmations. And then that cycle may happen over and over again, where you get really disheartened, really annoyed, frustrated. And again, notice how you're feeling, and then realize how you're thinking and change that thinking pattern. So those are just a few things that you can start to implement to bring yourself into more of a abundance and trust, faithful mentality around your fitness business. So this one's short and sweet today because I wanted to start with that, because I want you to start this last part of the year with a different mentality, so we can start to build that momentum moving towards the end of the year and then therefore into a new year as well. So it's like an accumulator, compounded effect of the more we get more aware of how we're feeling and what we're thinking about our fitness business, the more we can start to shift and change and actually draw more into us. So start to implement these 3 things and let me know in the comments if this was useful, this was handy, and always come back and leave your comments if you've implemented some of these things and you're starting to see those changes within your fitness business. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you found anything interesting, inspiring, motivating, useful in this podcast, please reach out to me and let me know. I love to hear your stories and how this has helped you. It's been my aim and my passion to help fitness business owners build thriving fitness businesses, but also build a fitness business without burnout and exhaustion, because that's where I found myself a few years ago. So if you need help with your fit biz, whether it's building online and creating an online service with a website and app and new clients coming into your fitness business on a constant, consistent basis, or maybe you would love help filling your classes and bringing in new clients to your classes every week and every month. Maybe it's social media that you're struggling with in terms of promoting your fitness business. Whatever it is, I think I can help. I have the I Heart My Fit Biz Members Club, which is full of tutorials and masterclasses that's going to help you with a great fitness business mindset and practical tools that you can implement in every area of your fitness business. Or maybe you're teaching 20 plus classes per week and you're burnt out and you're exhausted like I was a few years ago, and you need help taking your fitness business online so you can bring in an online income stream without teaching a single class. And that means you can start teaching only the classes that you absolutely love to teach because you love to teach them. And I can help you do that with the mentorships. We have group mentorships, one-to-one mentorships, and premium mentorships where I do the techie stuff for you. So I will add all the links below if you are looking for more help in creating a thriving fitness business. If not, subscribe to this podcast or follow me on social media so you can get tips and advice on creating a thriving fit biz.